So for those of you that do not know me, my name is Jamie Benedict. I have been a DECA advisor for 25 years now. That does not make me the greatest by any stretch. It just gives me a lot of experience. I've worked with some great DECA advisors over the years. And so I think we have a lot to offer. For those of you that have been around, last December, the director of Florida DECA passed away. During that time, I took over as the interim director, and then last April, I was made the executive director for Florida DECA. So this is a new initiative that we are starting to try to support some of our new advisors and really make sure that you guys understand how DECA works and what it can do. And we want to make sure that we're helping you along the way so that you don't miss out on anything and you get the most out of this along with your students. Joining us tonight is Drew Goldfinger. He is the Board of Advisors president, and he has taken over that role this year. And for those of you that when we talk about competition, he is going to be one of our great resources here. He is a two-time national champion advisor, including one last year. So just very successful in the competitive realm, and he's a great resource for that. So always great to have those kind of advisors willing to share their expertise. We also have joining us the state executive vice president, Ainsley Chiavarella, and she's taking time away from her school's football game tonight to be with all of you. So we appreciate her joining, and she's going to be able to provide some insight from a student's perspective and a state officer perspective. And we also have one of our state vice presidents, Joshua Yachik. He's joining us as well. And again, great resources for the from the student perspective and for a state officer perspective. So Ainsley and Josh, you guys jump in whenever you feel you've got something that you want to add, or if you want to share something. Go ahead and let's, Ainsley, I'm going to let you introduce yourself right now, because I want the advisors to know that they should be hearing from all of you and what your role is.
Okay, so do you want me to go over like our role, or what do you want me to go over?
Yeah, just tell everybody what you do and what they should be expecting to hear from different vice presidents throughout the year.
Okay, so as the executive vice president, I kind of like oversee the vice presidents to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We've been working on a lot of really great things this year. We have our annual business plan, which is going to be a great resource if you kind of want to see the different ways you can get involved and earn some recognition at states. And that's always fun, hearing like all the chapters cheering when their names are on the screens when they get called up. We've also really been keeping up with our social media to like get more in touch with the kids. And then we'll be doing like some fun challenges there, which might be good for incorporating into, motivating them to get involved, or, making it seem a little bit more fun and less schooly. Then what else? We host DLC calls, which your chapter vice president should probably go to, because they're just a great resource for everyone in the state to kind of get to know each other, but also so that everyone knows what's going on in DECA as it goes, and so that you have someone else kind of keeping you updated on what's going on, especially more on like the student end, and you guys are able to be kept better informed and make sure you're on top of everything. Not that you wouldn't be, but just so it takes some of the load off of your shoulders of having to remember everything, because there's always so much going on. I'm sure you all are aware. So Josh is one of our district vice presidents. So the state's divided into 10 districts. And Josh has kind of the west coast of Florida. So if you're like in the Naples area, Josh is going to be your vice president. And we're just like good points of contact for your members and your students, or if you have any questions, just so that, we're just a resource to make sure that you guys are able to make the most out of your chapters, and all your students are able to get the best and the most that they can out of DECA.
All right, thanks, Ainsley. Josh, you want to add anything?
For sure. So the role of the individual VPs for the districts is to really just assist your chapter with whatever possible. On those DLC calls, it is our way of connecting Florida DECA with your own chapter, sharing new information, sharing ideas with different chapters. There's a plethora of resources online and via the DLC calls that could grow and expand your chapters and take you to new heights.
All right, thank you, Josh. And then before we really get started, I want you to, I want Mr. Goldfinger to be able to introduce himself and talk a little bit about his experience with DECA and his role here.
Thank you, Mr. Benedict. So as Mr. Benedict said, my name is Drew Goldfinger. I teach at Coral Glades High School in Broward County. Some of you have already been in contact with me, those of you who are from Broward. This is my 9th year teaching. I was a DECA student from Broward County before that. So I've had the unique perspective of obviously seeing both sides of this crazy world that we have here. One of my big initiatives since I've been Board of Advisors president is the redesign of the website. It is still a work in progress, but we're really trying to make it better and more user-friendly, especially for advisors to find a lot of the resources they need, as well as students finding more competition resources and all of that stuff. So that's one of the things that we're going to be constantly working on throughout the year. And that's pretty much it. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Goldfinger. Now, I do want to try to make this some interactive as much as we can. So feel free to drop questions in the chat or just let us know. But I want to start off with this one. As you guys get to know me a little bit better, one thing that you will learn about me is that I am a huge fan of the 80s. This is sort of my thing. So I'm going to start us off with this little bit of an icebreaker question. And I believe you should see that up on your screen. Yes. Is there an icebreaker question up?
Yes, but like a poll. I don't know if I have
yeah, you can type in an answer there. There we go. Okay.
I can type in an answer where?
It should let you type in an answer. One person has so far.
No, it just says it doesn't give me a chance. Maybe it's because I'm co-host.
Favorite 80s movie or TV character?
It might be because you're the co-host, Mr. Goldfinger.
Character.
Fine,
Yeah,
I won't
the
participate then. I don't
question
wanna
is, who's your
participate.
favorite 80s movie or TV character?
Mr. Benedict, you could go on for 4 hours with this topic. So I mean, we need to
I
make
could write
sure.
my dissertation on this. It would be far more interesting than the dissertation that I'm writing currently.
We need to make sure it's, to the point.
Yeah, Ainsley, I don't know why you can't see it. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm sorry. You can type it in the chat, Ainsley. Favorite
What's the
80s movie.
question?
It's your favorite 80s movie or TV character. So it's movie character or TV character is really how it should be worded. I was trying to keep the question short. Favorite 80s movie character or TV character?
Yeah. Fred Sanford.
We'll go a couple more minutes on this. I don't know if there's probably some of you that can't answer this. I don't know if the officers really know enough about the 80s to be able to answer this. Maybe they'll surprise me with something.
I'm not answering. Okay. Nice. Icebreaker.
All right, does anybody else want to put in an answer, or do you want me to end the poll? Because I think when I hit end poll, this is a new feature for me because I didn't do this before. So, all right, if you want to add one, you can throw it in the chat for us, and we'll take a look at it there. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll here, and that should. Did that share answers with all of you?
can't answer that because I think I see what you see where it says stop sharing. So I'm out on this one.
Okay. So can you guys see the answers that people responded? Because I have them here. I've got, I know Ainsley put Ducky from Pretty in Pink. We have another Pretty in Pink answer on there, which is a classic. I watched that one again the other night. That's one of my favorites. Back to the Future is one that I watch over and over and over again. Doesn't matter how many times I watch it. Patrick Dempsey. So the Patrick Dempsey answer, do you have a favorite movie that goes along with Patrick Dempsey? I'm just curious.
Can't buy me love.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was going to be that one or was it Lover Boy, right? Where he was the pizza delivery guy. So that was a classic one. Can't Buy Me Love is of course a great one. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. I never got into that. I've watched it. I watched it the other day with my kids, but too many to choose from. I agree with you. Godfather, another great one. Andy Walsh, the Molly Ringwald character. Absolutely. That's 16 Candles. Oh, I don't know any. That's got to be from one of our officers. Mork and Mindy. Oh, that's another great one.
No.
Yeah. Oh, and Robin Williams and Pam Dauber. You just can't beat that combination. They were fabulous together. So, all right. So I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with that and see what your thoughts were on it. I do spend a lot of time dealing with 80s stuff and I do a lot of different 80s things on my own. I have a 80s Facebook page that I kind of run. I started an 80s podcast. I'm just too busy to do everything that I want to do there. So, all right. So thank you guys for answering that and getting us started that way. Oh, we got someone in the chat here. Alan, I'm sorry. I don't know why that didn't show up for everyone with that. So we'll have to work on that feature and see what's going on with that. But let's try one more poll here because I do have another question I want to ask just so we find out where everybody is. And this one should be a little bit easier. It's a yes or no, so it should pop up with two choices. Did you have any experience with DECA prior to becoming an advisor? Okay. So we had a few people. All right. Go another 10 seconds or so here and make sure that everybody's got their answers. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share those results with you. This is where we are right now with this. So 3 people had prior experience. I see in the comments that there was one that was just exposed through children. Lene, is that right? So where did your children go to school?
My son went to South Plantation and he was in the DECA program.
Okay. And that's a pretty
And then-
good one.
Yeah, and then my daughter's friend, well, most of her friends are in it right now and they were in it last year. So I was able to help some of them with their projects and kind of get the feel for what it was.
Okay. All right. Who else had DECA experience prior to becoming an advisor?
I did. By the way, can you hear me?
Can hear you
Yeah.
just fine. Yep.
Awesome, thanks. If it looks like I just moved to Florida, I did just move to Florida.
Okay.
But no, I have 16 years in
Okay.
out of Nevada, but no, I was a judge before I became an advisor.
Excellent. What brought you to Florida?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm sitting on top of the world right now, a retirement community, but I'm
Okay.
But no, I'm at the Williston Middle High School, going to be trying to get something going there. I know they're going to be getting something going in Cedar Key also, which
Excellent.
is in Levy. But yeah, it just fell into my lap. Literally, I was a day away from shutting down the Florida search because I've been dabbling for 3 years. And I applied and got hired and drove across the country.
Well, that's great. And we're happy to have you here and glad that you have some experience with Nevada. I really don't know much about Nevada's overall DECA program. I know a couple of people out there, but I don't know a whole lot about their DECAs. So hopefully we offer a pretty good experience for you while you're here, and you can bring some of your experience over from Nevada and help out your students. That'll be great. So,
Actually, I just a few months of DECA right before the pandemic. Now all my kids are gone. I have no idea what's going on. It's like just starting all over again. So when you asked that question, I said no experiences at all because we didn't get a chance to do anything. So
Okay.
I'm kind of in a limbo right now. I have no one, and I have no idea how to get it started again.
all right. Well, hopefully we can help answer some of those questions for you and
All right.
get you started. So now, if you have registered with National DECA, which I'm pretty sure most of you have because you wouldn't have gotten the emails from me otherwise. One of the things that you should be getting, oh, it's not going to pop up because of my background. But there's a box called "This is how we do DECA." And inside this box, there are a lot of great resources. You get some stickers, and there's some flyers and little notebooks. I put the background on. This one also comes with your DECA guide. It goes out to
Is it
every
feasible for you to
advisor.
turn off the background for 2 seconds?
Yeah, I know. I can do
I mean,
that.
that might be easier.
Hi, this is Mrs. Dudley from Ephesus Junior Academy. Good evening, EJA, and thank you for joining us for our open house. We hope that you have a wonderful school.
All right, let's try this now.
We can see that now, Mr. Benedict. That's good.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the box that you get. This is how we do DECA, and it does come with a lot of great resources in there. And one that it does come with is this book right here, the DECA guide. And this is a tremendous resource. I would leave this thing sitting on your desk the first year so that you can always go back and reference this and make sure that you have kind of gone through all of the stuff there. Most of it is competitiveness, but there's some other great resources in there. There's some great posters that come with the This is how we do DECA box, and a couple of other resources and little things in there for you to get you started. And then you've got these little Get the Edge stickers that you can start giving out to students as they sign up for DECA with you. So that's
Can I add something real quick, Mr. Benedict?
Sure.
If you haven't gotten your box yet, that guide is available on the DECA website and the Florida DECA website. So in the meantime, if you want to have access to it, both of them can be found on both locations.
Hi, Drew, is that something we have to order or something, or is it automatically come to us?
It should be automatic as you get signed up. If you don't get one, send me an email and I will contact National DECA and let them know. Matt, if you don't get one at your school here shortly, then let me know and I'll make sure that they get one sent out to you.
Thank you.
And one thing for your website, don't forget advisor resources is password protected, and we don't have, noobs don't have the password.
Well, I can tell you what the password is right now if you would like.
It's that top secret.
It's that top secret. Well, it's more designed so that if we put things behind there that we really don't want students to see, it's designed for that purpose to be password protected. Be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is. So hold on. It's like it's either FL DECA or it's Florida DECA. Hold on, give me 2 seconds.
That sounds incredibly secure.
I
either
could
one of those
change it.
options
I
is
mean,
incredibly
you know,
secure.
like,
It,
I didn't want to
it
make
really-
it something.
it's not one of those where we're hiding the secrets of life back there. It is stuff for things like the bylaws that don't need to be, they don't
Okay.
really go into the hands of the students and stuff like that.
Well, our
Um,
region coordinator reached out to make sure that we came to this meeting, and I heard you guys talking about the in-state business plan thing, and made reference that the info was at the website, but I didn't see any info at the website, so it might have been behind that door.
At some point, depending on Mr. Benedict's plan, I mean, I could share my screen and go through a couple things on the website if you have questions. That annual business plan is not under the advisor resources, but I could certainly show you where it is.
Yeah, we're gonna go into that today, actually. We're gonna go into the annual business plan. So I am gonna share my screen with you for a couple of minutes here.
While I
And
find
wanna
that
go-
password, I'll just put it in the chat and Mr. Benedict can go on. I want to double check it before I say something that it's
I'll
not.
just try a bunch of options and hack it.
That's fine. That works too.
All right. So I do want to start off with this because this is a great resource to get you started. This
I said, you sweaty?
This is the Advisor Hub,
I was practicing.
and you can find this at deca.org/advisor.
Say hi, Tyra.
And there's some great resources in here. You can sign up for the emails to get the DECA Direct weekly, and it comes out every Monday, and they make sure that they let everybody know, here's what's going on, here's what's coming up. This is all news just from National DECA. And so there's different things that you will find in here, roles and responsibilities. DECA does a really good job of putting information out for their advisors and how they want you to approach this. So we've got, let's talk about DECA, chapter strategy, gaining support, and all of that. So this is a good place to start. The other one that is a good place to start is decadirect.org. And decadirect.org has a lot of the stuff that, again, they can send this out to you, but it's going to be things like competition resources are found here. There's scholarship information over here, the executive officers and things like that. And they do things on the small business enterprise or school-based enterprise opportunities there, and you've got the calendar and so on. So this is another great place for you to get started there. Okay. As far as membership goes, this is the membership portal. You can find it two ways. I just get the habit of doing these, deca.org/membership, or you can find this under high school and then click on membership. If you're a new chapter, you're going to start here. If you haven't already gone through this process of creating your chapter, if you've been passed on this information by somebody else and you're thinking about starting a chapter, this is where you're going to begin. If you know another school that's interested in starting a chapter, this is where they will begin, is right here, start a chapter. Otherwise, you'll go to register members, and all of you will have a login that goes with your chapter ID. So it's going to be 110H and then a number after it. And then you can create a password. If you are taking over a chapter from another advisor, if you let me know, I can go in and deactivate that advisor and make sure that you are active in there, because you have primary and secondary roles, and not everything goes to the secondary advisor. So I can make sure that you are listed as the primary in there if you can't figure that out. But we can make sure that your password is reset. We can make sure that everything is ready and allows you to log in. And this is where you will go to register all your members. So you'll confirm everything in here. There you go. You'll confirm everything in here. and then you'll be able to do your membership. I'll do a whole tutorial on how to do the membership and upload everything. Also, how to graduate students from the previous year. I'll do a whole thing on making sure that you've got your chapter information updated, how to add alumni and professional members and things like that. The dues for National DECA are $8. The dues for Florida DECA are $6. So that's $14 between the two national and state organizations. Your district may have an additional charge that goes on to that as well. And that can range anywhere from, you know, $2 to maybe $10. I don't know what each district charges. You should be hearing from your district advisor about what those dues are and when they are going to be done and when they're payable and all of that. So we do have 3 levels there. As far as like talking about chapter strategy and things like that, what you charge your students is up to you. I used to charge $25 for dues. I've charged $30 for dues. I don't think I've ever gone any higher than that, but that covers the local or the state and the national dues. It also covered our district dues, and it added a little bit more into the DECA account for when we needed to do certain things. And that was nice to have a little bit of a cushion. It's not a lot of money. It gets you the opportunity to buy them a t-shirt or do a pizza party or something like that. In the last few years, I don't think I've gone very high with my dues because I don't have enough anymore usually to do t-shirts and pizza parties. So
to add, Mr. Benedict, I actually charge $50 for my DECA dues, and I include a shirt. And this year, I'm including some sort of promotional item. Obviously, like Mr. Benedict said, it really is up to you as to your student population better than us. So whatever you deem is fair. But obviously, like Mr. Benedict said, there's the district dues and the state dues and the national dues. So if you want to do a shirt, you can, and you just figure out that total and add that in there. I also throw in a couple dollars to help my DECA chapter get started with activities, events as well. So there's a wide range of what a lot of chapters do. Some chapters I know charge for like alumni members, which is through National DECA, and professional members, and theirs is even more than $50. So it really is your decision as to what you feel comfortable charging your students.
And you make sure you follow school policy on that, because I do know there are schools that say you cannot charge above the listed dues. And then if you want to sell them a t-shirt, then you can charge them for the t-shirt, but you can't go above those things. So make sure you're checking with your school policies and staying within those guidelines. Now, Mr. Goldfinger mentioned alumni and professional members there as part of the dues. So your district, whatever district you might be in, gets a certain number of allocations to go to state conference. All of those allocations are based on the number of members in your district as a percentage of the total population. So I'm going to use Mr. Goldfinger there as an example, because he's in Broward County, District 8, which is our largest, no, District 9, sorry, Palm Beach County is District 8. District 9 is the largest district in the state by a long shot. But a lot of what they do is they charge for, they basically double the dues. So their students pay twice, and that allows them to pay for one student and one alumni, or one student and one professional member. And so that builds up their numbers because they're able to basically double their population. Not everybody does it that way, but they have some schools down there that do it that way. and it works really well. Lyman High School used to do that as well. They used to double the dues, and the kids paid $16 because then it covered a alumni or professional member, and it built up their numbers at their school, which allowed their district to bring more kids to the state conference. So that's something to think about. I don't know that you necessarily want to address that if you're year one, but as you start to get more involved in this and you start to see that your kids are getting active and you want more kids going to state, that's really one way to make that happen is building up your district numbers.
Well, so
So-
that, I guess there are district competitions to qualify for.
Almost every
state?
district has one, yes.
Okay, District 3, do you happen to know?
District 3 that's a great area. That's Gainesville. Wendy Roche and Dawn Becker are the district advisors for that. And they have 3 allocations for District 3. They will have a district competition, and those send out more information about how that district competition works for you.
Okay, because we just went straight to state. You know,
Yeah.
Nevada was lucky to have 2,000 members.
Well, our goal this year, and these state officers have really been aggressive. They want to get to 12,000. So we're currently at 10, and they're aiming for 12. So with 10,000 members, we were able to bring about 2,000 to state out of that. So we can't just bring every kid that wants to. So every district has a qualifier to find a way to, bring kids over to competition. So, and again, all of that varies from district to district, so you'll get more information about that. All right, I want to throw another poll at you, unless you have questions about the membership, other questions about membership anyway. Anything else? I see
Actually-
Wendy, you charge $40.
Yeah, actually, I've got a couple of questions. I think
Sure.
I took over, I think basically from Carla Ross for District
Yeah.
1. And 2 things, when I got switched over as the advisor from, I think it was Amanda Cherry, there were no kids in there. And for the last 2 years,
Right.
even though that they paid dues, because I've seen the receipt for the dues, but then there was nothing in there. I should have seen at least last year's. So
Okay. So
I should have seen that though. If she actually went in and put those kids in,
yes, you should have
they
seen
should have
members
been in
there.
there.
So I am not going to get into that issue with
I
collecting dues
know.
and not paying them out. So I'll let you handle that. But we are excited to have a school in Escambia County and District 1, because Carla Ross had such a great chapter there and did such an amazing job. And we're hoping that you can bring that chapter back. And
Yeah, we're working on it. Because I
excellent.
think
Love to hear that.
Escambia, because I work with Carla at Escambia High. So I think we're gonna have Booker T. Washington and Escambia. My question was, isn't there another school over in Walton? And how do I know if there's any other schools?
I can send you a list of the schools that had been registered in District 1 over the last few years. I
Okay.
think there were three
Okay.
schools in District 1, but I'll double check that. I was looking at the list just recently to send out to district advisors. So you and I can talk separately
Okay, all right.
sometime, maybe next week, and we'll talk more about what that's going to look like for your district and your county. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Any other questions about membership? All right. Let me throw one more poll at you. And this one I think is going to be very telling for me, at least, and probably Mr. Goldfinger, because we're going to have to be the ones that do stuff with this. But this is the rank your concerns as a DEC advisor. So I threw some questions on there, some topics, and I just want you to tell me if you are not at all concerned, somewhat concerned, or very concerned about these particular things, or where you fall on that scale. while you are answering that, I did see while we were getting started, one of our other vice presidents came in, Laxmi Viswanathan. And this is, oh, you guys can't see this one. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not showing for all of you.
Maybe like people who don't have like the most updated version of Zoom or something. I don't know.
That might be it.
I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, this is new to me. And so I was trying to use the feature to get the most out of it. So Laxmi, I'll introduce you here in just a minute, but the first one is time. And again, it's not concerned, or somewhat concerned and very concerned. Time, competition, field trips and conferences, fundraising, school-based enterprise, recruiting members, chapter activities, and school support. So here we can type those into the chat here. So if you can just let me know where your biggest concerns are, because we definitely want to make sure that we're helping with these areas. Or if you have other concerns, you can type those into the chat for me. Alan, we are working on growing our middle school program.
Yeah, and that's what Dawn had already told me that. And honestly, right before COVID hit, I was because I was splitting time in Nevada too. I had 7th graders doing practice role plays with high school kids who were like top 10 at ICDC. Yeah. So I'm hoping to bring a couple 7th, 8th graders and then maybe 3 or 4 high schoolers. You know, my bar is set very low now.
Yeah. Well, we've been trying to push for National DECA to do some middle school stuff. In Florida, we do it a couple different ways. We'll talk more about it next month when we get into some competition stuff. But we do a middle school exclusive event with just a few competitions, and we do a high school, and of course we do the full high school event where middle schoolers can compete if they want to. So, all right, we'll go another minute or so on this. And while you guys are finishing answering this poll, let me get back to introducing Laxmi Viswanathan. She is our District 4 and District 5 Vice President. That is Central Florida, Orlando. It's Orange, Lake, Osceola, Brevard, and then all of Polk County in there as well. So, but Laxmi is one of my students, and she's one of my great ones. She's also a legacy in the DECA world because her older brother competed for me as well. But I got to tell you, I think Laxmi's a little bit better, and I think she gets to rub that into her brother's nose every once in a while. So Laxmi, go ahead and say hi to everyone.
So hello, I'm Laxmi. I'm super excited to be working with all of you and meeting you. I'm so excited to be a state officer, and I'm so excited with Team 65 to be giving any resources and help that you guys need. So if you guys ever want to contact me or any of the other state officers, feel free.
All right, thank you, Laxmi. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this poll, and let's take a look at what the results look like here. Hopefully you are able to see them. And this is kind of what I thought. The time is a big issue with this. And I know that the probably what $19 per paycheck that you're going to get for being a DECA advisor doesn't quite make it seem worth it. So the one thing I will say is just remember it's for the kids. So I don't like to be the guy in education that says that, because I think that I think DECA advisors should be paid like coaches, because you are a coach and you have the longest season of any sport that is out there. So if I could advocate for you, I would, but we just don't have that kind of power. But I do understand the time concerns there. And so we're gonna do the best that we can to help streamline some things and make that a little bit better. Competition we'll be talking about. I didn't want to address it in this first one because I think it's too much to throw at you. Field trips, it depends on what your school district is doing. Some of them are making it more difficult post-COVID, and some are making it now a little bit easier to get back into doing field trips. We have our first field trip coming up, our first conference coming up, which is the Emerging Leaders Summit. Excited to get started with that this year because we haven't been face-to-face with this for a few years now. So if you get a chance, definitely look at bringing students over for that. It's a great event for a lot of your newer members because it gives them some exposure to what DECA is all about and what we do. Fundraising, it's kind of balanced there with the fundraising. So I kind of understand that. School-based enterprise, we'll do a thing on school-based enterprise and we'll bring in some people who actually do that. And Gainesville has a really good one that works there. Recruiting members we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Chapter activities we'll talk about in just a little bit. And school support. The one thing I will say about school support, and I'll let Mr. Goldfinger add something onto this as well. Really the first thing you should do with this chapter is get your administration on board with you. Invite them out to things that you are doing and let them see why this is a valuable program in your school and they should be supporting it. I've brought administrators with me to different conferences and they look at it and they're just blown away by what they're seeing. DECA pays for them to come. It's a little bit intimidating because it's your boss that's there with you, but I've always been very confident in the way that we do DECA here in Florida, and I've always been very excited to bring an administrator along to see that aspect of it. I've even brought county supervisors along so that they can see how that goes. Drew, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, what Mr. Benedict said is very vitally important. Every year my assistant principal comes with me. Her eldest daughter was in DECA and with me, and she's just been a chaperone, has come forever. I've had my principal come before because I feel like a lot of these administrators, if they're not really well versed on DECA, once they go on one of these field trips, like it starts to click with them. We in Broward have had a lot of our CTASE people come. They've judged for Mr. Benedict also, it's a good opportunity to get those people involved so that they're more knowledgeable about what you're trying to do at your school.
Okay. So, and then looking at the comments here, recruiting, membership were things that came up, and we're going to talk about that right now. And then understanding the testing allocations, that'll be a competition one. We'll get into that one there. But what I want to do, Alan, I took a counselor to state, yeah, that's a good choice.
They need to be your best friend.
Absolutely. Take your lead guidance counselor with you places, because they make decisions about where kids go into classes, and that's a great way to build up your program. So excellent suggestion there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let Mr. Goldfinger share his screen and show you the Florida DECA website.
I was ironically also editing it as we were going over.
Thanks. And I'm going to let the officers jump in here, and I appreciate them joining. Ainsley, we're going to go over some ABP stuff, and really what we're looking at with the ABP as far as membership recruitment. The thing I love about the ABP, or what we call the annual business plan, is that it's sort of built-in activities that you can do with your students that create that energy. And they're really not anything all that challenging. They're just really good ways to get member engagement. So we're going to let the officers talk a little bit about that, and Mr. Goldfinger show you a little bit from the Florida DECA website, so that you guys know where to find a couple of things. All right,
I'm on screen right now. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, can you all see the website? Yes?
I
Yes,
got you.
Okay, cool.
sir.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So what the goal of the website, we had asked a lot of the statewide advisors at the end of last school year, some of the things that they were looking for in regards to the edits we were going to make to the website. And a lot of the comments we got were more user-friendly and making sure that a lot of the information is kind of streamlined in a way that makes sense. So that's kind of what the goal was, to redesign the website. So any of the contact forms are active throughout this website. Depending on their focus, they will go to either Mr. Benedict, or if it deals with the state officer team, it will go to Ms. DiLeonardo, who, along with Mr. Hubbard, coordinates the officer team. So if you need anything, you could always contact through that form. But it's pretty self-explanatory through the tabs here. So the About Us tab really goes into a lot of information more so about the organization in general, about our history, who makes up the leadership team, all of the districts. So depending on what district you are located, you can find information about the district advisors as well as their contact information. Again, we are still, like I said at the top, we are still working on constantly updating it as we go. Information about awards and honors, just awards that Florida DECA gives out, and then our Helping Hands collection, which is done through the annual business plan and also at ELS, which we could talk about when we get to the annual business plan portion. Any just generic conference information can be found here. Mr. Benedict referenced ELS, so that is a Florida DECA conference. So all of the packet information, if you click here, all of the forms you might need can be found on this page, the due date for registration, etc. So all this is, and then anything that's related to DECA directly, so the Ultimate Power Trip or any of their other trips, all that information is categorized under just DECA Inc. conferences. We are going to be updating once we have our board meeting in a couple weeks. Once we get a detailed information on every district's competition, that information will be found under this tab as well. Competition resources, we are working on updating and uploading a lot of different resources for the whole state to use. I had sent out an email to a large majority of the state to try to get the written event section of it uploaded sooner. We have testing and role play stuff that I will do as well. But the written events is kind of a little bit more difficult because it's a lot of getting a lot of those different papers, and there's only so many samples I can give from my own DECA chapter before people get sick of my own DECA chapter. So we're trying to beef that up. The ABP and stuff like that can be found, as mentioned before, under the Florida DECA Officers tab, because that really is a Florida DECA Officer kind of initiative. So you can see here that under the Florida DECA Officers tab is where the ABP is located. The ABP itself can be found there if you click on that link. It'll load here as a flip book kind of thing, and it goes through the different aspects of the ABP that they will walk through in a little bit. And then there's also a link where you can download it. So you can download it on your computer, share with your student leaders, or however you choose to just access it. So both of that information is there, and it can be found under, like I said, the Florida DECA Officers tab. Membership. Any scholarship information can be found under membership. The member tab really is for anything that would relate to a DECA member as opposed to a advisor. Something that we're going to be rolling out here in the next couple of weeks that can be found on this tab is we're going to be doing some challenges that we encourage your students to participate in. That information will be found on the membership tab as well. And lastly, we're really trying to implement a Florida DECA store and selling some Florida DECA related items. And that can be found there. But everything that you think can be found and what it relates to, really just the tabs is kind of where it's at, and really just streamlining that information. Like we talked about the new advisor tab, it is password protected. If you click on the advisor resources, it is FL DECA 2022, and I put that in the chat. You will see the advisor resources there. Like I said, we are working towards updating a lot of this, but like Mr. Benedict said, stuff like the bylaws, some of the allocation information is not necessarily information that students necessarily need to be concerned themselves with. I mentioned that the DECA guide, if you didn't get your box yet, can be found here. If you just click this button, here is the guide just in a digital form. So if you have not gotten that yet, you can simply access it there, download it, use it as a resource at your convenience. This DECA Advisor Hub goes to the National DECA Advisor Chapter Hub, where they have a ton of resources on there as well. So there's a whole bunch of information there as well, and that link will take you there. When Mr. Benedict records the video for membership like he referenced, that video will be uploaded to this tab right here. And then as we develop resources, stuff like we're doing here this evening to help new advisors like yourself, that information will be here. And then this is just a link to DECA's new advisor resources as well, so you can access directly through the website. But like I said, the goal of the website and what we're looking to do for the changes of the website were really to make it more user friendly and to provide more opportunities and more resources. Does anybody have any questions specific to the website that they might have of where something might be located, or just generic questions? No?
So
Okay.
let's let the state officers do just a real quick thing of how they set up their annual business plan for this year. Ainsley, you three can kind of take over. Don't go through each item, in detail, but just how some of these can be used effectively within their programs, and give them the students' perspective on that.
Okay, so when we were designing the annual business plan, we really wanted more quality over quantity events. Every year, the officer team for that year will release their version of the annual business plan. So for ours, we wanted it to be new chapter friendly. We wanted it to be things that were easy to fulfill, but added a lot of value into the chapter. So we have must-dos, and if you kind of look, they're not that difficult. It's getting more involved with DECA, making sure that the contacts are good, and then going to DLC calls. And then we broke it up under the EDGE acronym, because that's our theme of the year from DECA Inc. Get the Edge. So we have experience, and then these are just the great events that you can host, or great opportunities that you can let your members be aware of. For example, at my school, we've done a career and job fair, and it was actually available to the entire school. And it was really successful. There was a lot of turnout. People had a lot of fun with it. And just, at least I found, the more socials and things outside of competition that you host and kind of open up your chapters to, the more members get out of it, and the more members like DECA and want to be involved in DECA. And it also really branches out under everything that DECA has to offer. So if we go to the next page.
Sorry.
We have develop, and again, these are not difficult events. I'm sure some of you have seen or you may have already hosted a club fair and open house where you've had your DECA chapter there, or you've seen it in the past. If your school does fairs, it's things that to some may seem very obvious, oh, of course we're going to be at our club fair to try to recruit, but to others it's not, and it's just a better way to get DECA out there and get everyone more involved. An example, number 5, we have host a social event. We really wanted you guys to have as much control over what you're doing as possible, and this is just a guide to make sure that you're having a successful and involved year. And then if we go to the next page, this is all centered around giving back, which is a pillar within DECA. So we have fundraisers, drives, volunteer events, things like that, things that are beneficial to your students, whether or not they are that involved in DECA or like DECA that much or compete, things that are just good for them to gain. And that's really what DECA is all about. And as educators, I'm sure that the lessons you instill into them and the opportunities you provide them are more important than placing at competition. And then if we go to this is our last, and it's all social media based pretty much, which is something your students would pretty much do 100% by themselves. So it's something to keep your officer teams busy while also being beneficial and it's meant to help rather than be, a headache. So the event guides, basically, it's kind of something I was really interested in starting, and it was one of the main reasons I ran to be EVP, the executive vice president. Basically, what I realized is there's a lot of disconnect between chapters, and a lot of chapters, especially more experienced chapters, have a lot of really fun events that they do. At my school, I go to Cooper City High School in Broward, District 9. And almost every year we do a DECA dodgeball event, which we use as a fundraiser. Kids have a really, really fun time with it. Last year we opened up to the entire school. We had a great turnout, and it's something that got everyone talking and really involved, and it was really fun. And we realized that it wasn't that hard to put together. It had a great turnout, and there wasn't really much way for any other chapter to know what we were doing, let alone replicate it. So I wanted to come out with kind of a general guide for things of that nature, and that'll be really soon. I just have to finish going through editing it and making sure it's as self-explanatory as possible. So basically, it's a template. You'd have an event that you want to share, or a fundraiser or something like that your chapter's done, and then you fill out the step-by-step guide for it. It'll probably be an officer filling it out, actually, because they'd more likely than not be running more of the event, and you'd be kind of overseeing. And then you would just turn that back into us, and that's how you would fill out an event guide.
Lakshmi and Josh, do you guys want to add anything?
Sure. So the way I see the annual business plan is kind of like a guideline to the ultimate chapter. This year, kind of adding on what Ainsley said, we made it 4 different levels, bronze, silver, gold, and diamond. You could earn this by completing certain tasks. There's a must-do task that you have to do. Complete all 3 of those tasks on the page to your right to complete the annual business plan. And then bronze, silver, gold, and diamond each have different things you have to do per page in total to complete to achieve that level, excuse me. You get recognition for this, and this is really just a great way of getting your feet wet into DECA. We made it kind of easier this year to earn bronze, but in my opinion, we also made it really harder to get diamond. It's something you really have to work toward and earn. But if you're getting silver, gold, and even bronze, or any of these, if you're completing them on your first level, on your first year, you're doing a really good job as a chapter.
Yeah, I think the annual business plan, what I love about it is that, especially, we're looking into our chapter doing it, is that it creating a well-rounded chapter. You're able to really engage your students, and by giving this guide, it's making it a lot easier to be it's basically a guideline. This is what my chapter can do in order to be truly productive, and it's a great way to get all those pillars and really get the most out of DECA. This is the reason why we encourage all the chapters, because this is such a great, easy way, an effective way to get the most out of what this organization builds.
Lene, when you ask about the step-by-step guide, are you talking about this annual business plan? Okay. Drew, would you show them again where they can find this on the website?
Sure, yeah, I see there's a lot of chat messages, but since I'm also sharing, I wasn't gonna pivot to the chat. Yeah, so the annual business plan, because it is a Team 65 initiative, it's under the Florida DECA Officers tab. So you see here, Florida DECA Officers, all the officers have pages. For when we roll out the information for next year's officer team, that information will be on here. The ABP is right here. So to access this year's ABP is to the Team 65 ABP, and it'll bring you to the page that I am currently on. The flip book is there, or you could just click this link and you can download the actual file, whatever is easier for you. When it's time to submit your ABP, your chapter's ABP, if you just click the submit your ABP link, it'll take you to a submission form, and it gives you all the information to submit your chapter's ABP, and the details for how they are asking for the submissions is on this first page right here. It gives all the information on the submission guidelines page, and then that's how you would access it. But it is under Florida DECA Officers, Florida DECA ABP, Team 65 ABP.
So that's a great explanation of how the ABP works. Here's what, from a teacher's perspective, this is what I like about it. A lot of the activities in here are activities that you can do to create membership. Hosting a social event does not have to be just your DECA members. You could host a social event the first week of September and invite any kid who wants to join DECA to be a part of it, whatever that might be. I don't, depending on what your school does and allows. I used to do a pizza party. I would order 10 pizzas before a football game, and any kid that wanted to could come up and eat pizza. I didn't care if they were in my class. I didn't care if they weren't really interested in joining DECA. I got them in the room. I tried to make the sales pitch. It works on a lot of kids. Other kids are just like, it's not for me. I just wanted a couple slices of pizza. So, it worked really well as a recruiting tool. And then all the kids went down to the football game. So from there, it was just kind of an event in that regard. So that's a great way to draw kids in. The other thing that I like about the annual business plan, and we do a great job of this here in Florida, is students lead this. So all of you concerned about the time commitment of doing all these extra things, yes, you still have a little bit of time, but let your students plan it. Let your students control how things go. Let your students send out the invites. Let your students handle all of that. Let them do the sales pitch. You're just there to supervise. And I tell my students all the time, you know, do what you guys are going to do. You know, I'll support it, but I'm not going to plan it. I'm not going to organize everything. I got a lot of things going on, and they know that, so they do what they're going to do. Laxmi and my other DECA leaders, because I don't do I don't do officers per se. You know, where I have president, vice president, things like that. I have DECA leaders, and they organize things. They communicate with each other. They put it all together. I get a text message that says, "Hey, Mr. Medic, this is what we're doing." Okay, I'm good with it. So, and I'll support them with whatever I can. But put your students in charge of these things. Ainsley, I think you need to answer this question here. Filling out the step-by-step guide for filling out an event. You already did answer it. The chapters are able to complete the ABP recognition at states. Okay. Ainsley, what is the step-by-step guide? Is that part of your presentation? Is that how you have that organized?
So I believe she's referring to the event guide. So that's one of the tasks that you're able to complete under the annual business plan. So that's going to be put out very soon. We have the template and we've had a chapter fill it out, but we're just looking it over and revising it to make sure that it's ready to be rolled out. And then once that's out, it'll be a template that you're able to download, I believe, from the website and fill out and then upload.
Okay, so
I believe that's how we're
step-by-step guide
doing
is
it.
not ready yet. It's just about ready to roll out.
Yes, it's just about ready to roll
Okay.
out. I'm waiting on approval from Mr. Hubbard, and then a final look over, and then it's ready.
Excellent. That's what I wanted to confirm. Okay. All right. So we have done a lot of talking. I know you guys have been typing to us in the chat here. What other questions can we answer for you while we are going on this? And while I'm doing that, Ainsley's going to type in the Instagram hashtags and all that stuff so that you guys can follow us and we follow you right back. What questions can we answer for you?
While we were on the annual business plan thing, that, you know, now that I can actually see the screen again. So the way I do it in my chapter is very similar to Mr. Benedict's. Is my leaders handle it, and what I actually do is each like a couple of my leaders will take one of the sections. So like they said that it was EDGE. So like I have 9 officers, so 2 officers will handle this section, and another 2 officers would handle that. and they're responsible for developing whatever we're going to do within that portion of the annual business plan. So that's kind of how I do it in my chapter.
I would definitely look at those annual business plan options though, and use those as your membership recruiting tool. I think that's the best way to draw students in with this. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with getting started with a small chapter. Okay, don't ever feel like you're not going to be a part of things, or you're not going to be able to win anything with a small chapter. Small chapters are good. I run a very small chapter. Mr. Goldfinger runs a very large chapter. So between the two of us, we have very different strategies. I think both have been very successfully worked. We've both put out great leaders. We've both put out great competitors. And I've never had a problem with registering 30 or 40 kids as a chapter, and just working with those 30 or 40 kids who really want to do great things.
To add to that point is, as somebody who does run a relatively bigger chapter, is I think it's important that the number doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? It's having those quality students. Like I'd rather have, I mean, I have 150 members, which to some people is large, to some people in Broward County, it's super small. I'd rather have 50 dedicated quality kids than 300 with 200 of them aren't really all in, right? Like, so it's finding those kids that are going to provide good quality to your program that is the most important.
Okay. Alan, you were small in Nevada.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes the small groups are the best. Like you
I
really
don't want
connect
to
with
be
those
big.
kids.
I
Yeah.
have no desire. And what Drew was saying is so correct. You know, the past 2 years had the best chapter ever. I can fit like literally the crew I travel on one hand. You know, you can really get close with a handful of kids for 4 years and watch them develop and get on stage.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just a quick question.
Sure.
As a first year advisor, and I've never done DECA before, and we're probably going to have a lot of kids interested from the get-go, so close to 60 or 70, you know, just as a starting number. Where do you think as a first advisor, if you could, I know it's complicated because there's a lot going on, but where should we from the get-go focus our energies? We're not going to have the issue of recruitment as much as just figuring out what we should focus on as a team.
Officers or Drew, you want to take that? And then I'll chime in.
I guess my follow-up question would be, are we talking more competition based, or are we talking more like running activities based? Like I can answer that question in two different ways.
Okay, yeah. So I would say competition first. I obviously want the other parts of it too, but just to kind of get a handle on the competitions, like where we should focus our energies on that. And the other parts, I feel like I can kind of, you know, intertwine in there.
Okay. So my biggest recommendation, first off, is to review obviously the DECA guide and see, and see, you know, obviously what is the opportunities that are available. In my opinion, it would be easier to just start and focus on some of the events that are role play and testing based, because without a base level knowledge of some of the written events, it might be a huge undertaking in year one. Obviously, we are going to be providing resources on sample DECA papers, and DECA does a great job to have those resources of past winners and stuff on there. But it is a huge undertaking for brand new students for the first time and new advisors to kind of do that on a very large scale. So my recommendation just at the beginning would be to focus on the more testing and role play events. And then if you wanted to do a paper, like just focus on like one event, like be like, okay, a couple kids can maybe do this, and not everybody doing it because then you'll get super overwhelmed. So that would be my recommendation as a starting point.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think role play is probably the best place to start because it's got
Yeah.
a little something for everybody. You got your first year kids in there. You've got some kids with a little bit more advanced knowledge that can still compete, and it covers from a classroom perspective. It still covers all of your performance indicators in a classroom. It still connects with everything you're going to be doing. I think that's a great place to get started.
And then as far as, correct me if I'm wrong, so like as a, let's say, for example, for my district, which is Broward, I think on a district level, they don't necessarily role play there, right? They just test. And then if they move on, that's when they get into the role plays. Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, I can obviously speak to this. So as one of the district advisors in Broward, my main responsibility is to kind of coordinate and run the competition portion. So because Broward is such a large county for competition, it would be very unrealistic for us to role play the amount of students that we have that are competitors in Broward. So it is just based on their tests. And then if they qualify for states, then obviously nationals after that, then they're required to do a role play. But on the district level, we just do the test.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be reaching out to you, Drew. Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, any other questions?
Mr. Bundy, if I could just add on to what Mr. Goldfinger was saying, I'm in Broward, so I've competed in Broward all 4 years I've been at DECA. I'm a role play gal. My first year, we had an advisor who since retired, and she had us do both. So I wrote the paper. It was horrible, and then I did my role play and made it to states. I wasn't really too sure, and states is when I really understood all that DECA was, because it was very, very different. And then having competed again, and then gone to nationals and competed, I think that role plays are definitely a lot easier to kind of get your grasp on. And then from a student perspective, the biggest piece of advice I always have whenever asked about anything with role plays competition is to have them go through the lists and see if there's anything that they have any outside interest or background knowledge on. For example, I do an apparel and accessories marketing, and I've always just been really interested in the fashion industry and looking into that and following trends and stuff. And that's helped me astronomically during competition. If they're into cars, there's an auto mechanic role play, auto mechanic marketing role play, there's sports entertainment. There's just so much, and making sure that they kind of pick something that they have a little bit of background knowledge in can really make them stand out during their role plays and at states. That's always my biggest piece of information. And then when it comes to the test, it's just take them, see where you got them wrong, take them again, because so many of them, there's so many common themes on the actual tests. And then when it's time to prep for role plays, that's when you kind of start getting into your niche of the event that you picked.
Right. Okay, gotcha. And that's all that I don't have the DECA guide in front of me. I just got it at the school, so I have to see it. But all the different role plays and stuff are listed in there, right? And then we can see all that online too. Okay.
We'll do another one of these a little earlier in September, probably 3 weeks from now, that will cover competition stuff, and we'll go over how we do things in Florida and what the competition stuff looks like, so you can start looking at looking at that with your students. Okay.
Thank you so much. That's helpful. Thank you.
And Mr. Goldfinger, we need to make a note for our Florida DECA store. I want a shirt that says Florida DECA, I'm a role play gal. I think that is I think that's a gold item seller right there. That's the best.
I respectfully disagree.
I want it on a hat. I want it on a hat. I want it on a hoodie.
Mr. Benedict. Respectfully disagree.
See, Josh is buying it too. So, all right. Hopefully you found this valuable. This is something that we really are trying to push to make sure that our advisors are comfortable and that we are doing everything that we can to make you successful in the classroom and in DECA. I'm going to put my email in the chat again, just in case. If you need anything, don't hesitate to email me. You're not going to be bothering me with it. Even if you think of a question in an hour and you want to send it out before you go to sleep and just to make sure that you get it there, it's fine. I will respond because I want to make sure that we are growing the best organization in the country when it comes to DECA. Okay, if you all don't have any more questions, I want to thank Ainsley, Josh, and Laxmi for joining us from the state officer perspective, and Drew Goldfinger for joining us from the advisor's perspective and the Board of Advisors representative tonight. So thank you all for being here. And let us know if we can help. That's what we're here for.